Gonna be good.
Viewer discretion is advised, but will be completely ignored.
Spend time with your family?
Sure I do.
Good.
Like TV from other dimensions has a somewhat looser feel to it. Yeah, it's got an almost improvisational tone.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Wrestling Asylum. This is a special summer episode. And tonight, I'm joined by the new, reigning, defending one half of the Empire State Wrestling Tag Team Champs, Jeremiah Richter, his partner, Darren Crowe. They are Edge of Hope. Kind sir, thank you for your time. I have waited a long time to do this, so we are going to get into it. Welcome to the program. Good evening, sir. How are you?
I am doing well, and thank you for having me on the show. I know we've been trying to do this for a long time, and what better time than now, fresh off winning those tag titles. So thank you again for having me. I was looking forward to this.
I have too, and sometimes timing is everything.
That is right.
First and foremost, congratulations. So, what in the final moment, as the bell rang back at Brawlfest 3 weeks ago, going through your mind as soon as the bell went off and you and Darren both realized, oh, holy shit, we did it?
Well, great question. There were a lot of emotions. As you've been following us pretty much from the beginning. So, I mean, this is something that we've been working so hard for. And just there you go. I appreciate that. And just, when that bell finally rang and I heard the ring announcer announce us as the new tag champs, just, a feeling of joy, a feeling of relief, if you will, just all that hard work paying off. I could say, all right, it was worth it. We finally did it. At one point it was something that seemed like it was never going to happen. We just had to be given that right opportunity. And to my knowledge, this was really the first shot that we ever got at those tag titles. So I knew that all we needed was that one shot. And, it was really a victory for all four of us, in my opinion. And just to have that bell ring, be given the belts, I mean, it was an amazing feeling, big sense of accomplishment. And, I am, as we all are, really proud of what we've created with Edge of Hope. And, man, I know we've been around for a few years, but this is just the beginning, man. We got a long way to go, and we got a lot more titles to collect.
Oh, yes. I've said this. For people who see this, the first night I watched this, man, I said it then. I'll say it to the day I croak. You have the gift. You four men. And I'm not trying to cut a promo here, but I told you, I told Matic, I told Rain, and I told Crowe. The four of you in the indie scene have made something special. Somewhere down the not too distant future, I'm seeing the big name call for you. The four of you. And when that happens, all around the country, all around the globe are going to know one thing. ESW don't build simple legends. They build hardcore fucking icons.
Yeah.
Think about it. Butcher and Blade, Daniel Garcia, the four of you, and I could list thousands more.
And there's going to be plenty more.
Oh, yeah, in the years ahead. Now, another question I got to ask you was, after surviving the gauntlet match, What, and this is a two-parter. Did it feel real right away, or did it take a minute to sink in after you guys won? And what was the physical and emotional toll in a match like that? Because, I mean, if we look at the history in pro wrestling in terms of gauntlet matches, I mean, I got to ask you, I don't know how many of those you have done, so I'm going to throw it to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, like you said, at first, it almost doesn't seem real. Like you said, you win the match, you get to the back, you're talking to everyone, you're coming out talking to the fans. And, it really takes like a day or two to just sit back and think about it and go, wow, yeah, I did this. This was awesome. And, in terms of the gauntlet, that was the first gauntlet match I was in. And we kind of always, going into it, when we heard it was a gauntlet, me and Darren, cinematic, we knew that there was that chance that we could wrestle each other. And that's exactly what happened. And we kind of agreed ahead of time going into it that, no matter what, the goal is to bring the tag team titles back to Edge of Hope. And, if it comes down to us, let's go at it. Let's see who's going to come out on top. But the goal was always to, no matter who does win, that we were going to make sure that team went on and brought the titles back to Edge of Hope, which is why I said this was a victory for all four of us. It could have been, Matic and Siren that won them, and I would have been just as excited because it's something the four of us have been working towards, and that's why I say I really feel like it was a victory for the four of us. So, again, great feeling. It really takes a moment to really just sit back and reflect before that moment really hits you, that it happened. And, I'm looking ahead. I'm looking forward to that, ahead of that first title defense at Everything to Gain on July 31st.
Now, side note, do you guys know who you're going to face? Because for those who don't know, the reason we even had to have the gauntlet match was To Infinity and Beyond had to relinquish the belts due to Colin Delaney getting hurt. So, unfortunately, Cheech having to do what you and I both know Cheech likes to do, he relinquished.
Yeah.
We had this. Now, was there at any point in the match, not necessarily saying the thought of, oh my God, we might do this, we might pull it off, but where in the back of your mind, because of the journey that you guys have taken for the last 5 years at least, where you're going, okay, this is surreal. Are they going to, unless something happens like a major injury, are they going to pivot? Are we still getting our hands on this? Was there any of that self-doubt that every wrestler gets?
Oh, absolutely.
During the course of the match?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you said, self-doubt, unfortunately, is everything that, is something that every wrestler does go through. But it is just, I think the biggest thing is really just being confident in your abilities and who you are and keep moving forward. And that's what we did, in that match. And, Colin and Cheech, I'll tell you right now, they, as we all know, they've been around a hell of a long time. They're both very, very talented individuals. There is no doubt in my mind that when Colin Delaney is ready and ready to come back, that they are going to come after us to get back their titles. And I welcome that challenge. And, they're going to have to work a little extra harder, because we're a more motivated team than ever right now. And, like I said, I know that match is coming, and I do look forward to it. Colin and Cheech are, like I said, they've been around forever. They're a couple of the best tag teams on the indies right now. You cannot deny that. But we are going to bring everything that we have, and we are slowly working our way up to that title as well. So I welcome the challenge, and I know that no matter what, we're going to come out on top.
I look forward to it. I'm not going to lie. I've told you before, men, you're ready. I knew this 5 fucking years ago. And a side note, 5 years ago, and I know I'm going to catch hell from you, I made the same prophecy to High Seas that I made for the four of you.
I remember.
And they did it for 2 straight years here in ESW with an iron fucking fist. I'll never forget that as long as I live.
Same.
But it wasn't until, what was it? Tough Luck. And it was Darren Crowe. And if I remember correctly, he was challenging Saiga, if I remember correctly.
What was that? He was what? I'm sorry.
He was challenging Saiga for the interstate title back in March.
Yes, that was tough luck. Yes, that is correct.
Okay. I knew you guys were going to get major momentum the moment halfway into the match the crowd got behind Darren and you, because all of a sudden I get this nudge from a fan and they're going, they better get the damn tag titles. And as a fan, I'm sitting there in the back of my mind going, they got no clue. They have no idea what's coming next. So to see it for me was a tear running down my face of happiness, because I'm sitting here going, I've been watching you guys for 5 years. You've been chasing gold left and right. You've been chasing opportunities. And I'm going, okay, they keep getting closer and closer. What's missing? And then I'm listening to the crowd back in March. And then I'm listening to the crowd 3 weeks ago. And as I'm watching the match, I'm going in the back of my head thinking, looking at the four of you when you four duke it out, I'm going, I've been waiting for this. This is the moment. They're ready. And I knew. I just knew. So again, well done. I know you four men after the match had to be going, okay, what are we doing tomorrow?
Yeah, pretty much. You get to celebrate for about a minute and then say, all right, what's next?
Yep. So now we're going to get into a little bit about you. So
Let's do it.
First question I want to say is, what got you into falling in love with pro wrestling, and what were some of the inspirations going up?
Yeah, man. As far as I can remember, I was liking wrestling since I was a kid. And right when I started to get into it, it was right around the time of Lex Luger was big in the Lex Express. Those were kind of my first memories from wrestling. And then as I kept watching, I got to be honest, some of my favorites right off the bat when I was younger, Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. Yep. Anytime they wrestled, I was always hooked. I was always watching. I loved it. As time went on, obviously Stone Cold Steve Austin, I got into wrestling training a little later, so I'm a little older, but I was right in high school when Austin was a thing, and then DX, and I was obsessed with DX. I was right around that Attitude Era, all those guys. So definitely Hunter, Shawn, and DX, and then the Outlaws and, X-Pac and everything. So those are definitely some of my early influences. Edge as well. Love Edge. I'm a huge Edge fan. And probably one of my biggest influences, Raven. Ever since I started watching wrestling and I saw Raven, I was drawn to him, the mysteriousness, his promos, everything like that. So Raven is actually a huge influence on me. So those are some of the people that I always watched and always looked up to.
Okay. So one of the questions I want to ask is, what point while you were growing up, because you and I grew up pretty much around the same two eras. We're coming off the red and yellow era. We're going into the new generation. Yep. All of a sudden, we get WCW kicking Vince McMahon in the crotch. I'll call it what I call it. And then all of a sudden, a guy that I got picked on for liking as a 7-year-old kid watching an episode of WCW on TBS. Jesus Christ, I feel fucking old. But the guy came out walking as the young, blonde, long-haired, lock TV US champion from Hollywood, California, alongside Paul Heyman. Little did we know, King of the Ring 96, it would be the Texas Rattlesnake, and we'd go into the greatest era. What point during those two eras did it start to make you think, okay, I could really do this? I really want to get in the ring. This is what I want to do.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting question, because even when I was watching it when I was younger, I wasn't sure even back then. Like, I'd always loved wrestling. It was a big passion of mine, but I wasn't sure if I did want to get into it. I didn't know if that was the path for me. Maybe I was afraid. Maybe, I just wasn't sure. But definitely, like I said, just seeing guys like Shawn and Hunter when they were in DX and seeing how they were acting, and I could relate to that. And Stone Cold. So, probably around that time, like Attitude Era-ish, is when it really started to cross my mind of, okay, yeah, maybe this is something I want to. Oh, maybe I'm not sure. I love to watch it. Can I do it? But that's probably around that time when those thoughts started stirring around.
Okay. So pretty much where most of us, if you want to shoot, that's where it really starts. So one thing I got to ask you is, how did you end up getting your first experiences into the ring? Who did you meet and end up being able to, okay, I'm going to go train here? And then some of the things that fans may not realize on how hard the journey is getting in the ring, performing, learning promos, learning cue, learning it, timing out a match, how to perform certain holds or moves, because and I know, and we've witnessed it, and in some cases, some people have gone through it. It's literally, you're risking your life, and you have to make sure your dance partner can protect you. So,
yeah, absolutely. So I was first introduced to ESW back in 2010. And went to a few shows, and then I saw a flyer that Pepper Parks, now known as The Blade, was doing a seminar before the show, learn to wrestle, like a mini kind of class there. So I said, oh yeah, I'm definitely trying this. So I went there, and at that very day, that's when I went on to meet guys like Kevin Bennett and James Sega. That was the first time I ever met them. So I've known them that long. And Kevin Bennett at the time had an actual wrestling ring in his backyard and said, hey, here's my number. There were no real schools around in Buffalo. That was not a thing at the time. And he said, hey, we train in my backyard. Here's my number. Shoot me a text, and why don't you come over? So I did a couple of times. And, at that time of my life, I was back in college. I was trying to figure out what I am going to do. And nights that they were training, I was doing stuff with school or vice versa, and it just wasn't working out. And at the time, I didn't pursue it. And as time went on, I remember hearing, an actual school opened around here, Grapplers Anonymous. Okay, well, I'll keep that in the back of my mind in case I ever want to give it a shot. And then as time went on, I went to go see a friend of mine who wrestles for Nickel City Wrestling, Ace Gervais, somebody I've known for a very long time and is a very close friend of mine. I went to go see him wrestle, and I saw him in a match. And afterwards I said, you know what? He's doing it. He's having fun. Screw it. I'm trying it. And at the time, like I said, there was just Grapplers. I had known about Grapplers. I sent them a message, and I went, and, to the point where you even said, even starting the journey, even just walking in that door and saying, hey, I want to give this a shot. That takes all the guts in the world. And I sat in the parking lot, and I almost turned around and went home because I was so nervous and anxious, but I did it. And that's really, that's really where the story starts. So I started going to Grapplers, and, from there I went on to train even further with guys like Bennett and Sega. And right around that time is when the Buffalo brothers got in their car accident. So I'm 4 months into training, and they're starting to come back to get ready. So I'm training with them as they're getting ready to make their return to the ring. And, and I got to know Garcia a lot during that time, Daniel Garcia, and I got to work with him a lot, luckily. So yeah, that's, I'm lucky to know all these guys and have been able to train with them and work with them. And that's kind of really how it started and how I got in.
So speaking of the Buffalo brothers, okay, I know what happened. You know what happened. For the people who don't know, they were coming back from a shot. I think it was in Canada, if I recall.
It was in Canada.
And they hit what? It was like a patch of black ice, and it was a nasty, nasty car accident.
Yeah, they hit a guardrail, and essentially it split the car in two.
When I saw it on the news, and my dad, and this is a side note before we continue, my dad looked at me. He goes, please, no. And I said, what's the matter? He goes, I'm having flashbacks to hearing of what happened to Tim Horton. And I'm like, oh, come on.
No. Oh, yeah.
So but you know what I'm talking about. The infamous Sabres hockey player who unfortunately passed away in a car accident.
Millard, yep.
Going to play against the Maple Leafs, driving from Buffalo. They're coming from Toronto back home. I mean, I hadn't been able to go to an ESW show yet, but I knew about ESW, and I always kept tabs. My first show was supposed to be late 2019, right around the time AEW was about to go.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
And here's what happened. The morning of, hi, I got pneumonia.
Of course. That's how it always works.
I messaged ESW. I had already paid for my ticket online. I said, listen, I can't go, because this is when the Lucha Brothers came to wrestle there.
I was at that. That was actually that was the first show I worked backstage and did extra work that night. I think I was a security guard for someone, but that was the first show I was at where the Lucha Brothers were there, and MJF was there as well.
Yep, I was supposed to be there. And what happened is I wake up with pneumonia. I'm like, I can't go like this. So I immediately reach out on Facebook. I said, listen, I need you to give my ticket. I'm very sick. I don't want to get anyone else sick. Give it to whoever it is on the house. It's paid for. Raffle it. I don't care. Make somebody's fan happy. And I guess the powers that be responded, thank you so much. We appreciate that. Please get better. We hope to see you at an event soon. Then came the pandemic. And then after everything else got back to normal, that's when I finally made my first shot. And that's when I first saw you.
I remember.
And off to the races we went, and I never looked back. Now, okay. So after I first saw you perform, and I knew what I knew, it wasn't until a couple of months you were starting to get really pissed. And I mean, I'm seeing you get angry and frustrated. Then Saren Rain came into the picture. So how did Edge of Hope all start, and what does that name represent to the four of you?
Yeah, so the first ESW show back after the pandemic, it was July of 21, I want to say. And that was the first one back. So Saren Rain comes to that show. At the time, he lived about 2 hours from here in Hornell, New York, small town, like right before Syracuse. But he came with people that we now know as TJ Epics and Chael Connors. And that was their first introduction to ESW and coming down and helping out. And I met Saren that night, became friends right away. And I remember we were at the when Every Time I Die was a band and they were doing their Tid the Season show. We were helping set up for the wrestling portion of it. And he came up to me and he said, hey, I think we're gonna be paired together in ESW. And I said, oh, as opponents or as tag team? He goes, I think a tag team. And I said, oh, okay. At the time, he was traveling to Binghamton to work for a promotion called Excite Wrestling. And Maddock was going there at the time too. He hadn't been to Excite in quite a bit, from my understanding. So he was trying to go back, get his foot back in the door there. And he wasn't doing anything. Saren wasn't doing anything. So they started tag teaming there, and they were getting on the pre-shows, and they were working their way up to the main show. And they had the name Edge of Hope. And right around this time, me, Maddock, and Saren just happened to be standing at the Frontier Fire Hall together. I'll never forget it. We really didn't know each other. And Maddock kind of looked at us. He goes, I think the three of us should be in a group. And we're just like, oh, okay. None of us had anything going on. We're like, yeah, well, let's see what happens. Didn't really think much of it. And as you had mentioned, I'm getting angrier and angrier. I have a match for the interstate title with Frankie Feathers. I lose that match. I end up going crazy. I'm going to end up hurting the ref. And then out comes Saren Rain to stop me and offered me his hand and to join him. And I did. And we were off to the races. And Saren and I were the first version of Edge of Hope in ESW. Sure. And then after a few shows of just establishing ourselves in general, we did a 6-man match. And that's when we debuted Maddock at ESW. And that was kind of the start of everything right there.
So then, okay, so now you guys, you've revealed the three of you, but we know there was going to be a fourth. How did one Darren Crowe come into the mix, and what made the chemistry so well for the four of you? And what does the name Edge of Hope as a group bring and represent to the four of you?
Absolutely. So I remember around this time, Darren was also starting to come around too. Darren at the time was known for doing backyard wrestling and whatnot, and wanted to get into actually training professionally, and did. And he was showing up around that time, and he was I would always say hi to him. He was very quiet at first. We didn't talk a whole bunch at first. And I remember the first time we were in Rochester and I saw him wrestle for the first time, and I said, whoa, this kid is awesome. And so from there, we were at a show one day. We were at an ESW show, and Saren Rain came up to me. He said, "So there's talks of another member of Edge of Hope." And I said, "Oh, well, who's that?" And he goes, "That guy over there, Darren Crowe." And I just kind of looked at him. I'm like, yeah, I think that can work. And that was kind of also like Edge of Hope with the three of us, with the four of us. That was also kind of born at Excite Wrestling, because we were at Excite, and we were at the time feuding with CXR, Chael Connors, and TJ Epics, and their trainer and ECW original HC Loke. And it got to the point where they had challenged us to a match, us three against them and HC Loke's tag team partner from Ring of Honor, Tony DeVito.
Oh, wow.
So they said, find a fourth to take us on. And, like I said, Darren had already been a thought, and we said, hey, let's see what he can do in this match, and we'll go from there. And he was our fourth that night. And it was a just all out, anything goes hardcore match. It was nuts. It was insane. I loved it. And Darren, really showed us what he had that night. And after that night, and after everything we had went through, because that was a war, we said, yeah, Darren is in the group. And, it's from the second he came in, there was instant chemistry. Just like, the three of us were very much still getting to know each other. Like I said, we didn't know each other before Edge of Hope or anything like that. And so, we were still in the process of, who is Edge of Hope? We're still getting to know each other. And then Darren came in. That's really when, things started to click, and we started to see each other's individual personalities. And, Edge of Hope came out of, obviously the Hope dealer, Saren Rain. But, it's like we say, if you feel hopeless, you just got to keep going, and, you will find your way. And that's kind of what happened with us.
So the one question that I think I want to really dig into is, because the four of you combined, each piece to the puzzle doesn't just bring a unique story. There's got to be certain struggles early on. Now, early on, once the four of you had come together, what early struggles, maybe not just necessarily inside the ring, but more of cutting promos, timing a match, those type of things, practicing some moves like, okay, we're talking about, we want to try this. Let's see if it works. Let's see if this is too dangerous. Things of that nature. What were some of those early struggles?
Well, right off the bat, I mean, one thing I always go to and think of, and this is an in-the-ring thing, but I guess could be considered an outside the ring too, is whenever we did multi-tag matches, 6-man or an 8-man or anything like that, and we were all involved. Sometimes in the beginning, it was really, for whatever reason, difficult getting on page when we had those multi-man matches. Just for whatever reason, we just couldn't get it down, at first. And sometimes it still is a bit of a struggle, but it was just, finding more opportunities to tag, in these multi-man matches, and just get that experience and get to know each other more and feel each other out more. That's really what it was. And I guess, outside of the ring, it would just be, those frustrations after having a match like that, and what are we doing, and who are we, and what's happening here. So there was a very much, growing pains, definitely, from what I remember, just from not being able to all necessarily be on the same page with a match or a promo or anything like that. But again, like I said, it just took a little bit for us to really get to know each other and feel comfortable with each other. And that's why I said, even though it's been about 4 or 5 years now, I just feel like recently, within the past year or two, is when we've really gotten comfortable around each other and really gotten to, just know each other and know how to act around each other, just different things like that. And it's just really felt like it's really, connected in just this, little time.
And it definitely shows. I mean, I did see some of the struggles in those 6 and 8 man matches because everybody's got to get their stuff in. Everybody's got to, get that moment, get that, you know what I mean? Not viral, but get that moment where, okay, I want to be able to do this to wow the fan. I want to, you get what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
So one question I got to ask you is, what separates the 4 of you from every other tag team that's come through ESW or at Excite or at Ground Zero or BCW or Nickel City or wherever else in New York or hell, even throughout the Northeast? What separates Edge of Hope from every other team that walks through anywhere in the Northeast, especially here in Buffalo?
That's a great question because, oftentimes to be honest with you, we're probably the longest running stable in the area in a very long time. I've seen plenty of other teams form, stables in the past couple of years, and it just doesn't seem to last. And I just think it's where, people can tell that when we come out. I mean, from when people were booing us to the beginning to when they're cheering us now, we haven't done anything different, but I think that they can just tell that we're genuine, that we're ourselves, that we're true to ourselves. I really think that that's what separates us and what's really kept us together, because not just stables, but I've seen plenty of tag teams come and go too in the past couple of years. And like I said, I think it's just, we come out, people know that, that's who we are. They can sense that we're genuine. They can sense the general connection the 4 of us have. And I really think that's what's kind of, turned the fans, especially over the past, couple shows, especially the last one, with Darren, Crowe, and James Sega. That was a big moment too for Matic and Sear and Rain in that multi-man match, especially when it looked like the ref had counted to 3 at one point, but maybe the other, person had kicked out, and the fans were not happy about that. And I could sense it then, and just the reaction that Crowe got. Yeah, they just sensed that we're ourselves, we're genuine, we're a hardworking tag team, and I think that shows and comes off to the crowd.
Well, that brings me to the next couple of questions. First, and there's a few parts to this. Looking back, what would have been the toughest obstacle you guys have faced? And was there ever a moment over the course of the last 5 years where it could be any one of the 4 of you, could be you yourself, Jeremiah, where you were asking yourself, can I continue doing this? Can I still believe that I'm going to be that in the championship, echelon, that moment where I'm holding gold? How much trust and friendship were involved in getting you through it? And outside of the ring, what were the sacrifices that you had to make to pursue it? Because I know, Matic, Rain, Darren, everybody in ESW and everywhere else knows this comes with a lot of pressure, a lot of, like we said earlier, self-questioning, starting to wonder, and it can impact things, relationships, friendships, jobs. So looking back, what were some of the biggest obstacles you faced? Questioning if you could continue it? How important was it to get trust in the friendships to get you through it? And what sacrifices did you have to go through to pursue it?
Yeah, definitely. I think just some of the struggles for sure. Well, one in ESW, when it just seems like nothing was clicking and we were losing all of our matches just to the thought of, we're never going to get the tag titles there. So I think, we're never even going to get a chance. So I think that definitely had affected our motivation. At no point did anyone step away, or was there talk of it, due to frustration or anything like that? I mean, at one point, Matic had to step away from wrestling for about a month a couple of years ago, and same thing with Crowe last summer. And that's just kind of taking that mental break and recharging your batteries and coming back when you're ready and knowing that everyone is there to, welcome you and give you whatever space you need. And that's another thing with our friendship. We've always, given each other the space that we needed, whether it was after a match and somebody was kind of mad about something, or just, hey, I'm getting kind of burned out right now, I need to take a few weeks off. Okay. Definitely do what you need to do. We all just want each other to be at, 100%. And so I think we just always, like you said, we do have that trust in one another. Yeah, no matter what, and we've all been there for each other during the shittiest of times. And that's kept us going, that we were always there for each other. And, obviously, the tons of sacrifices. You miss out on fun things or family events. You're wrestling on the weekends and there's no off season. So there's definitely going to be those events that you missed, and, people mad that you couldn't be at certain things. And that just something that comes with the territory, you know what I mean? And when you have those, big moments like we had winning the titles, you can look back and say, okay, yeah, that was definitely worth it.
Okay. So now we know there is a lovely lady member of the Edge of Hope that is always at your side. What was she able to do to help you get through these things?
Well, she was there plenty of times when I'm like, yeah, I'm quitting wrestling in general. Like, I'm no good. Like, what am I doing? And she would just say, no, you're not. You love it, blah, blah, blah. So just, being there to call out my bullshit. And that's really what has kept me going. And that's really helped me a shit ton.
Hey, when you get a loving girlfriend, a loving wife, significant other, whatever, that is going to sit there and they hear you say this shit and go, no, you're not. Come here. Boom.
Yep.
What did we learn? That's when you know, okay, I can still chase this. Because there were times, and I'll say this to people watching or listening to this, there were times where I saw you after a match. Yeah, you were calm, but the eyes tell the story that you were like, fuck, why am I doing this? But I knew, don't give up. Patience, timing means all. It's coming. And 3 weeks ago, I was right.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So now, next part of this, now that you guys are the champs, has the pressure stayed the same? Has it gone up, or you already know what to expect and more? And what do you want to be remembered for? However long your reign is as champ, start there.
I mean, I definitely, after it happened, the thought was definitely in the back of my mind. Oh, okay, we're the best in ESW now, so now we have to show that we're the best, and we have to have the best matches on the card, and just work for it. So yeah, I definitely feel the pressure there, but I'm looking forward to it. I know Crowe and I can handle it. I know Crowe could certainly handle it. I'm not worried about him at all. And being that we have each other, yeah, we're ready to do it. We are absolutely ready. And I'm sorry, the second part of your question. Oh, how we want to be remembered. Yeah, I just want people to know, like I said before, we were always ourselves. The Edge of Hope is what you see, is what you get. I want to be remembered for being genuine, a tag team that worked hard to get to that level and represented those tag titles well.
Well, I am going to give a certain special shout out to the promoter of ESW, Mr. Brett. We need new belts, kind sir. I think we're due. With a certain Edge of Hope style and flair to them. Wouldn't you agree?
Maybe just a little.
Now, who do you guys want to face next? Not necessarily your up first title defense, but some of the teams that you want to face now that you're the champs, but who would you want a big title defense? Let's say end of the year show for Wrestle Bash.
Big show Wrestle Bash, us against Alec Price and Jordan Oliver.
Oh, ball game. Thank you. I've been wanting to see that one. I know they're in AEW. Shout out to Tony Khan for getting Alec. Tony, you might want to take a look at Edge of Hope. I'm just saying, help some brothers out.
Well, the other half of Edge of Hope actually will be wrestling them this Friday night in Binghamton for Northern Federation of Wrestling. So we do get half of Edge of Hope against Busta and Brain this Friday.
There we go. So you heard it here. Mr. Crowe's going to be in Binghamton this Friday. You might want to go check that out. Now, is there a particular team you guys want to face besides Alec? And
yeah, so right off the bat, when I think of local tag teams in ESW, Criterion, Adam Wacker and Cal Keaton. I've known those guys for a little bit now. They're very talented, and I 100% want Edge of Hope against Criterion.
Okay. Who else? Because I know there's another, but they're kind of dealing with some kind of wacko doctor.
Oh, sure. Bring on the high seas. Let's do it. Yep, absolutely. We got to wrestle them back in January. Really enjoyed it. So, yes, absolutely. High seas all day.
Now, I know CXR would be one. I know you at some point are going to have to take on Colin and Cheech. But is there one particular team, whether it's Syracuse, whether it's Rochester, Erie, Excite, wherever, of the other promotions, both in the Buffalo area and throughout New York State and parts of the Northeast, are there any 1, 2, maybe even 3 teams that you four want to battle, but in particular you and Darren?
So in terms of out of Rochester, I think of Price Pure Gold and Julio Diamante, known as Greed. They've had a match or two in ESW before. They should be on many, many more shows. Very, very talented guys. Would love to wrestle them. They're the first tag team that comes to mind. You mentioned CXR, absolutely. Another absolutely ridiculously talented tag team. Yep, them. And then in terms of that, those are the top ones right there that I could think of, right off the top of my head at the moment. There's also another young tag team out of Rochester called Primetime. They have not had any matches in ESW yet, but that consists of Damian Saint and Carmelo Lee, and they are both very good, and we would, love to wrestle them sometime.
Yeah, I've seen 1 or 2 wrestlers from Rochester, particularly Ground Zero, one involving the women's division here in ESW, and I'm kind of looking going, we have our own version of the Forever Champion here with Christina Marie.
Oh, yes.
So this is going to get very interesting. Now, what goals are still left for the 4 of you? And in 1 year, where are you seeing yourselves?
Well, our goals are, to keep successfully defending and holding on to the ESW tag team titles. In terms of Matic and Sarah and Rain, I believe they're going to be entering into more singles competition going forward. So, hey, a tag team, interstate champion, ESW champion, all the gold at Edge of Hope. I don't know. That sounds pretty good to me. Maybe Wrestle Bash in a year. We stand in that ring, all 4 of us holding all 4 belts.
I mean, I'm not going to be complaining. I've said many times this shit needs to happen. Phase 1 did. Who's to say by the end of the year?
That's it.
I mean, I'm just saying, hey, Brett, if you see this, hopefully so. You started phase 1. Phase 2 and 3 need to be taken care of.
That's it. Okay?
Your boys are taking it to task and knocking it out of the park.
Grand
Slam. And now you got the fans behind you.
Yep.
So now I want to switch a little bit. In your honest opinion, I'm going to fire 4 key questions about the wrestling industry as a whole. Pick whichever one you want to answer first. What's your honest opinion about the current state of professional wrestling today? Do you think tag team wrestling gets enough recognition and respect? How difficult is it for the independent wrestlers, such as yourselves, to stand out? And any advice that you have to give someone trying to break in now?
Yeah. In terms of today, I'll be honest, I have been huge on AEW for the longest time. There was a period when, it was so, but just lately they've been on fire. I got to watch Double or Nothing on Sunday. That was an awesome show. It's going to be a great follow-up Dynamite tonight. Looking forward to that. WWE's definitely taking a dip here and there. I'm a huge fan of Obafemi. I'll say that right now. That guy is awesome. He's definitely the future. So, yeah. So, yeah, that's it right there. And then any advice. So, the thing I would definitely say is, if you're going to go for wrestling and you're going to give it a shot, it is going to be something that you absolutely have to love and are willing to chase and do whatever is necessary to achieve, because it is not easy. I'm sorry. And it can be very easy to get discouraged. And if it's not something that you're very passionate about, it is very simple to say, yeah, I'm just going to walk away. I'll come back another time. I'm not ready right now. So you have to be just mentally there. You got to be mentally ready. And you have to remember in the beginning, you're going to suck and you're supposed to, because you're learning, and that is okay. So, yeah, I remember somebody said that, hey, that's the thing about wrestling in the beginning. You're supposed to suck. And that really stuck with me. So, you just got to stick with it. It is very frustrating, but the hard work absolutely pays off if you stick with it. Yeah. So my advice is, if you're going to do it, make sure you absolutely love it and just be ready to put in the hard work, because that's the only way you're going to get anything.
Right. Now, the other two questions is, how difficult is it for independent wrestlers?
Oh, yes.
Not just including the four of you. I'm saying as a whole, based on what you've gone through and what you've seen others go through. And do you think tag team wrestling, not just in the independents, but in the pros as well, gets enough recognition and respect today?
Seems like tag team in the industry in terms of reputation is always going up and down, up and down, up and down. And I think it's climbing right now. I think there's obviously a lot of good tag team wrestling in AEW. There's some good stuff in WWE too, but AEW is great. And as far as the indies, there is a lot of competition out there. So you just got to figure out, a way to be you and just be different from everyone else out there. And that's just not in the ring with promos or what you do with your social media. Nowadays, there's so much involved in it. Some of the biggest guys got well known for doing skits on social media. So it's having a presence and just trying to do something different and figuring out what works for you and what doesn't, because what works for someone else might not work for you. So it's just, making sure you have something unique and, finding your own way to present that.
All right. I dig that. Now we're going to give you some fun questions. These are going to be rapid fire. These are going to be random. So, funniest thing that has happened to you guys on the road?
Oh, man. Oh, I'd have to think about that one. Oh, funniest thing.
We can go back to that one if you want.
Let's go back to that one. I got to think about that one.
We'll leave that for later.
Yeah.
Now, which wrestler scared or intimidated you the most when you first met him?
Bill Collier, 100%.
Oh, no.
I was like, oh, man, look at this dude. He's huge. Like, he's a badass. I'm like, oh, no. Now, when Bill's now one of my absolute favorite people in wrestling, I love him. He's the man. But, yeah, definitely meeting him for the first time, I was like, whoa, this guy's a monster. Okay, he's intimidating. But, no, I got to know him, and Bill's great. He's one of my favorite people.
I remember meeting him. For me, it was you, because holy shit, I'm looking up going, holy crap.
Yeah.
There's something special here. Wasn't just that, but it was Vince Valor, because he's got to be tough. He's got that old school mentality to him that I do respect. I love that about him. So there was that. I think the first time was I can't believe I'm going to admit this on camera, but it was Fully Loaded, 99 in Buffalo. It was after the pay-per-view. My buddy's uncle's working security at KeyBank at the time. And he goes, you want to meet some of the guys? I'm like, okay. So we meet The Undertaker. And I'm like, hi, I'm 15. This is back in the 90s. So for anyone hearing or watching this, remember, this is the Attitude Era. It was a different vibe, folks. And I will never forget this long as I live. He goes, so, how old are you guys? I said, I'm 15. He goes, 18. Got it. He's going to grab a bottle of Jack Daniels.
Yeah.
I go, sir, I'm 15. He goes, nope, 18. Got it. And that's the second time he said it. I'm like, okay, shut up. You're having an experience. First sip of Jack, I'm like, yep, we're good. It was still intimidating because it's The Undertaker.
Yeah.
Now, who takes the longest to get ready before a match out of the four of you?
Probably me, because I'm slow when it comes to that, because it's so tedious putting everything on. I'm like, ugh. So yeah, probably me.
Okay. I can understand that because you want to look good for the people out there. I totally respect that. So which one of the four of you is more likely to start anarchy in the backstage? Like, which one of the four of you is going to start trouble?
Who's going to start trouble? Yeah, definitely Maddox. He's a big jokester. He's definitely going to start trouble backstage. Absolutely.
Any particular ribs that you can share?
What was that?
Any particular trouble or ribs that Maddox has caused that you can share?
If
not, that's okay too.
No, not that I could think of. Just he would always have a tendency to piss everyone off with his ribs, but yeah, he used to like to make people tell them that we were ready to load up the ring truck when we weren't, so they would be standing around holding all the heavy pieces and just having to wait because it wasn't ready. So yeah, it was crazy. And I apologize for moving my phone like that for a second, but unfortunately my phone is about to die. So I just want to let you know in case it does. So
all right, that's all right. So before we wrap up, I have 3 final questions I want to ask you. Here they are. What message do you have to your fans who've supported you from the jump? What does being the ESW Tag Team Champ alongside Darren mean to you? And lastly, this is where I'm going to give you the promo front and center.
yes.
What happens when someone steps into the path of the 4 greatest men I have ever watched? Edge of Hope.
Yes.
Richter?
Well, so yes, so I will go through those quick. So
Okay.
Thank you to everyone that's followed us, that's bought any piece of merch or anything like that. I can't thank you enough. I mean, honestly, with the fan support that got us winning those titles, being champs with Darren, we've become so close, and it's been amazing. And being able to be a tag champ with him is so cool. I absolutely, love it. And, anyone that wants a shot at those titles, you can bring it on. I'm the dominant force, Jeremiah Richter. I got the dash, Darren Crowe, who is not afraid of anything. So you just better be ready to deal with that, and you will not be taking those titles off us anytime soon.
Well, folks, you heard it out of the man himself. Folks,
there we go.
It is that time. Mr. Richter, it was a pleasure to have you today, sir. And I think, with that being said, folks, we yep, it looks like it's that time. So, as of this moment, I want to say thank you to Jeremiah Richter, one half of the Empire State Wrestling Tag Team Champions. Check out his tag team partner this Friday in Binghamton. But folks, please don't forget, like, share, subscribe, stay notified. This is the Wrestling Asylum. As you can see, it's a whole new vibe. It's a whole new day coming this way. And folks, Excuse us 1 second. All I gotta say is, till next time, hope. You ever feel hopeless? All you gotta do is look at the ring, and you already know what's coming. But in the meantime, tonight is Dynamite. We are going to find out what the little dick sucking prick MJF has to say after he didn't get his head shaved bald. I'm a little pissed at that. Also, in the meantime, I love you all. I thank you all. But wait a second. You know, I'm getting rocked with some Alzheimer's here. Did you notice something new? That's right, folks. Congratulations, ladies and gentlemen. Just when you thought you knew, things just got a lot more interesting. So again, thank you to my good buddy, Jeremiah Richter of Edge of Hope. Go check everybody out. The links are in the description. Thank you for tuning in to a special episode. I hope you all enjoy your summer. I will see you in August at SummerSlam. But for now, I still got renovations to do. We got some new upgrades. We got some new vibe. You got a taste of it tonight. What's it going to look like in August? Well, as I always say, if you're going to go with a smile. But for now, go have fun. Enjoy your summer. Until next time, I am Eric, EJ, a.k.a. Eric the Joker. This was the Wrestling Asylum. Thank you. And always, professional wrestling is for everybody. I hope you learned something from our special guests today, and you go check them out. And if you are in the Buffalo area, be aware, July 31st, Buffalo Riverworks, live on IWTV. It will be everything to gain. And mark my words, for 5 years, I said it on the program. I prophesized this. I think I have a knack for talent. You saw one tonight. You know my co-host is another one. Just who do you think I could have on next? See you in August. Or maybe sooner. Time will tell. Ciao for now. And as Alice Cooper's song says, school's out for summer. Take care, everybody.